A dynamic. Oh, thank you for doing that. I'm going to start that right again, if that's okay, for our guests, because we do want it recorded. Um, Welcome, everyone, to What's New at YRL on the inaugural session. I'll get you to forward the slide, Duncan. What's New at YRL is intended to be a dynamic and fast-paced quarterly webinar series that highlights YRL's latest initiatives, resources, and services, and provides a focused and efficient way to stay informed and up to date with what's going on here. These sessions will cover new services, resources, and initiatives launched in the previous quarter and will provide a sneak peek at what's to come on the horizon. These webinars are one pillar of a three-point communication system that we use to announce new resources and services at YRL. So in addition to this webinar, announcements are made weekly in the newsletter, and new resources are highlighted on the main page of the YRL intranet. We always will provide critical updates as needed, when needed, across all communication channels. So lots of ways that you can hear about what's going on. Today's session will move quickly, covering just the basics of each item. We'll post links to the comprehensive intranet page in the chat so that you can read more as we're going along if you'd like. Questions, we'll have questions at the end, but you're more than welcome to pop questions into the chat box as we go along, and then we'll get to them at the end. So without any further ado, we're going to move on to the very next slide. Great, thank you. So the first new launch that, and I think one of the first of the new year, was a new kit called a ribbon skirt kit. This is in thanks to our On Reserve on Settlement grant and work from local knowledge keeper Barb Scott. We've been able to procure and process 2 ribbon skirt sewing kits that are available for libraries to borrow. Each kit includes a sewing machine, sewing accessories, iron, and ribbon skirt sewing instructions. These kits can be booked via the Kits app and along with all of our other kits. We used one of these kits just in December to sew a beautiful ribbon skirt for our Indigenous Initiatives librarian, Amanda, to wear when she goes out on events. If you want more information about the ribbon skirt kits or tips on how to sew or support in booking it, please feel free to reach out. Next, we have some updates on our Niche Academy. So if you're new to Niche Academy, it is the place where we put our online asynchronous tutorials on a wide variety of topics. We're continually updating Niche Academy with new tutorials developed by YRL or ones that are available just through the Niche platform. To help better organize these tutorials, we've created 3 new categories full of great new learning opportunities for member library staff. The first new category is governance, which is a section that focuses on information pertaining to boards and board responsibilities. This is a great section to promote to your new or ongoing board members to help them better understand their work. Niche Academy is not restricted just to library staff. You are welcome to set up accounts for your library board members if you feel any of these tutorials will be helpful for them in their onboarding or ongoing learning. The DEI section focuses on how libraries can better utilize DEI in their services and operations, both front-facing and internally. There's a great section in here for managers to check out as it deals with higher-level structural planning and change on this topic. And finally, for more day-to-day work, when you're doing more day-to-day work with diverse populations, you can check out the patrons section. This section covers patron services that are tailored to a wide variety of groups that may come into your library. And I think this is the last one for me. I wanted to mention the new 2025 learning opportunities. The photo in here, as unflattering as it is, was a fantastic day at Leduc Public Library, where Leduc and YRL come together to host a programmers networking, sharing, and learning event, which will of course be already is being scheduled and planned for this year. So the 2025 YRL Learning Plan introduces more than 30 new learning opportunities for library staff, managers, and directors. And it is designed, the workshops are designed to support member library staff at all levels. please visit the YRL events calendar or the YRL intranet for a full listing of learning opportunities, including descriptions and registration links. There are a couple of new initiatives that I want to mention to you. So these aren't new yet, but they're coming down the pipe over the course of the year. So this is your heads up. The first is an asynchronous learning opportunity called Learn with Novelist. So Novelist, of course, is one of the e-resources we offer to our member libraries, but this is a learning opportunity for library staff on how to recommend great reading. And this is great if you are not familiar with certain genres and want to learn more in order to increase your customer service ability to recommend a person's next great read. We're introducing communities of practice this year, organized by size and type of library. So small, medium, large, and intermunicipal, bringing together leaders as well as board members and municipal leaders to talk about specific issues that pertain to those size and types of libraries. We'll be running a mental health first aid, again, asynchronous and online so that it's very easy to access. And we're developing a series of self-paced tutorials that will be launched over the course of the year in niche. You're probably already familiar with the self-paced tutorials on how to use Leap, which we are, as you know, moving to over the course of this year. We're in development of self-paced tutorials on how to use the Mugo websites and really optimize them for your community. We're doing a collections management self-paced tutorial series and an all about YRL self-paced tutorial series that is great for you to use when you're onboarding new staff to the regional library system sort of environment. Some of the key events this year include learning events for our Public Library Council, the first of which is coming up on the 20th. So those of you who are online here today who are managers or directors, you would have received more information about that over the last couple of weeks. We're starting an annual open house, a Saturday event at YRL headquarters that features interactive stations, tours, and networking opportunities. And some of the popular returning topics include online learning options such as the Homelessness Academy, which we have renewed again for this year, and Crucial Conversations. We have a cohort of Crucial Conversations folks that are moving through in 2025. For a full list of events and opportunities, please visit the learning section of the YRL intranet. And with that, I'll turn things over to Duncan.
Hi, everyone. So I'm all about the intranet refresh. So the intranet was introduced back in 2021, and since then it's expanded greatly, which has resulted in more complex navigation. So to address this, we've undergone a bit of a refresh to organize content and just make it a little bit easier and user-friendly. So we have three major changes to the intranet. I'm going to post a link in the chat here. The biggest being the home page. So this is also going to include the new What's New at YRL section. So anything that we have links for that is included in these What's New sessions will also be linked on the home page. We have a new intranet index. So this is a very long alphabetical list of all the content that's on the intranet. So you can easily go and locate anything without having to click through pages. And then we have new navigation bar categories. So there's 4 new categories where every single intranet page is going to live. And these include operations, collections, technology, and learning. There's also some minor stylistic changes. So things like web page headers and the theme colors. But you might notice a few slight adjustments over the next couple months. But I hope this refresh makes things easier for our members. If you are unable to find anything, please let me know and we will track it down. Something might have gotten lost in the shuffle, but I'm very confident nothing has. All right, I'm going to pass this over to Josie next.
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if you can see me. Duncan, can people see me?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good. Just making sure. So I am going to talk for a few minutes at some new things from collections and resource sharing. First thing is Read Canadian. So you received an email Thursday, I think Wednesday or Thursday, about some with this graphic that's on the left of the screen that's enjoy Canadian content at your local library. We've put that on a new intranet page with some suggestions of how you can promote reading Canadian titles in your library. So in the chat, I will throw up the link to that page. Oh, is it already on there?
We got your
Yes,
back. Yeah,
perfect, good.
yeah, we got all your links ready to go, Josie.
Thank you. That's great. Okay. So what you will find on this intranet page is a way to purchase some more Alberta published books. This week, actually just yesterday, the Book Publishers Association of Alberta did their first ever Book Blast webinar, which if any of you remember from ALC years ago, there was popular publishers who did a book talk type presentation called Dewey Divas and Dudes. And during COVID, that went online as well. Well, now the Alberta publishers are doing the same thing for books from their publishing companies that are geared towards public libraries. So that Book Blast webinar will be recorded or was recorded, and we'll send that a link out in our newsletter for when that's available, and we'll put it on the intranet too. But in the meantime, we have created a CCD list with all of the new books that were featured in that webinar yesterday. And I attended that webinar, as did Sophia and Janet, and there were some really great titles. A mystery set in the Manitoba legislature. So if you like, kind of, who's the gentleman that I'm not thinking of right now? It'll come to me. But there was a read-alike of a really popular author for that book. And it's going to be a whole new series of kind of mysteries set in different Canadian places of historic note. So there were a lot of really great Alberta, Canadian authors, topics presented that were specifically geared towards public libraries. And once again, you can find that list on CCD. The other thing that you might want to do is start promoting some Canadian books in your library. So I have a quick kind of 3 ways you can do a quick search and track pack to find books that are Canadian, have the subject heading Canadian fiction, and you can fast it down to your library so that you can find those and pull those off the shelves and put those on display. And I can tell you this morning, actually, I just got a note that Stony Plain Library has already done this. So they have a huge Read Canadian display up in their library. They've moved very quickly on this, and you can too if this is something you're interested in. And then the other thing that you can do that is always available to you is the Read Alberta eBooks digital resource. And so I've pulled that kind of what that resource is to remind all of you and put this on the page too, because these are all of the books from, this is a really unique program, Read Alberta eBooks. And I know that it's been around for a long time and you've seen promotion for it before, but what I don't think people may realize is that we're the only province in Alberta that has this program running, where we actually fund from a provincial government level Alberta published books to be turned into e-content that is then freely available with your library card. We're the only province to do this right now. So we're already, our provincial government, our Book Publishers Association of Alberta is doing so much already to give us this content in an accessible e-format. So we've got the Accessible Alberta collection available through that link, the Prairie Indigenous ebook collection through that link, and also the Read Alberta magazine collection. And that can be found on your websites under the digital content or e-resources tab. So please promote that. You might want to do, show it off in your staff meetings this month so that your staff kind of get, refamiliarized with it. We know a lot of people go into Libby and Overdrive, but Read Alberta eBooks is a great place to go. It's also a really great option for book clubs because everything in that database is always available, meaning it's simultaneous use. It's not, you don't have to put holds on things like you do in Overdrive. So really check out Read Alberta eBooks for your book club planning too. So that's what I wanted to say about the Read Canadian piece. We'll be fleshing out this intranet page more as we go along. with more ways and ideas. And if you have ideas and things that you're doing in your libraries to promote Read Canadian, please share them with us. Send them to Ask YRL, and we can feature that on our intranet page, or possibly on our social media too. So we're excited to see what you come up with as we, focus more on promoting overall in our lives Canadian products and Canadian content from Canadian creators. So next slide, please. All right, so a few things that have been coming up about tariffs that I wanted to touch on today. We've been hearing some, concerns and questions about, what would tariffs mean for us in our region, for you, in terms of book buying and things like that. And I just came off of a really interesting meeting with Tony Anisco, who is our representative from United Library Services, to talk about tariffs. So essentially, right now, we are not expecting tariffs to be added onto cultural materials, which books, DVDs, magazines fall under. We're not expecting that to be added at this moment. However, we know with how quickly things have been changing over the last, let's say 15, 16 days, that could come into effect. But how it would have to come into effect that would then impact your buying power or your purchasing power is that the Canadian government would have to put tariffs on these things coming into Canada. So it's not about other countries putting tariffs on that would impact the book buying. It would be the Canadian government would have to say, we're going to put a tariff on cultural materials, meaning books, DVDs, magazines, being imported in from other countries, such as the United States, Great Britain, or, England, Australia, China, etc. So we don't see that happening right away. When tariff wars have happened in the past, Wendy and I were talking about this, we couldn't remember a time where this had happened on books. So we're considering this a low risk right now. Where the risk could come in though for us is as the exchange rate changes. If the exchange rate gets worse for us on, with the Canadian and American dollar, then that's where we could see an impact, where a book might be $22 US, $34 Canadian. It might be $22 US, $37 Canadian. So that's where we might see some more impact is on the exchange rate. And we have seen this over the years. We know that the exchange rate is quite volatile, and that has impacted our purchasing power. And we'll really see that impact our ebook purchasing power and buying power too. So we may see that if you put $1,000 towards ebooks, you're only getting $600 to $650 worth of content, rather than, $700 to $800 if our exchange rate isn't as good for us on that US to Canadian exchange. One of the things that I wanted to point out today is how we support Canadian businesses and workers already with how we purchase books through Yellowhead. So we purchase from three main companies: United Library Services, which is an Alberta owned and operated company; Library Bound, which is one of Canada's largest book wholesalers, that's a Canadian company; and then CBS Midwest Tape, which is an American company for AV, but they have offices and a long-standing relationship with Canadian workers in Canada. They have many staff who reside in Canada. They have distribution centers in Canada. So while they are an American company, we're not necessarily getting everything shipped from the US from them. A lot of it is coming from being produced, distributed within Canada. We have concentrated our business to as many distributors and companies as we can who are Canadian. Many people are surprised to learn that we purchase the majority of our items through United Library Services, and because they are Alberta owned. So that's something that you can, if you are getting questions from your boards or from your patrons about, you can, talk about that. We have this information available on the intranet if you need. And if you have questions that you're not quite sure how to answer about how you acquire your books, you can always send those through Ask YRL, and I'm happy to help you answer those. I have a little bit on the internet about local authors and Amazon that I'll let you read through. I won't go through that all today because I'm taking a lot of time. I'm timing myself and I only had 10 minutes and I'm almost up. So take a look about, some of the things we have to say about purchasing from Amazon, because it is part of this complex network of purchasing. And while we don't recommend that you purchase the majority of your items from Amazon, there may be some things from local authors who only are distributing their books through Amazon that you'll need to purchase through there. And that's okay. Just remembering that Amazon as a company doesn't do a lot to support libraries and is not Canadian. And by purchasing through Yellowhead, a lot of your publicly funded dollars that are coming to you to purchase collections are staying in Alberta with Alberta companies. All right, next slide, please. All right, so challenges to library collections. We wanted to touch on this. This came through in an email the same day as the Read Canada piece. So some libraries may be getting questions from board members and patrons about books and materials in your collection. If your board wants to discuss library collections, here are the things that you should have updated and at the ready, and that is your collection policy and procedure, your customer conduct policy and procedure, the demographics of your community, which we can supply to you. So please email us at Ask YRL if this is something you need. We can help you with messaging and dealing with some of these questions. And we can also help by providing you with a snapshot of if there's a certain area of books and your board wants to know how many items you have in these areas, we can help you to figure that out too. So if you do have any of these conversations coming up at the board level or with patrons, please reach out to us. You're not alone in answering these questions or dealing with these situations. They can be uncomfortable and we're here to support you. Next slide, please. And lastly, because I'm over time, I'm just going to leave you with this little quick video. This will be sent out, so I won't play it in the presentation today, but there's a new video out on a sneak peek of TrackPack Plus, which is the public name of our new discovery layer. You may have heard me refer to it as Vega in the past. That's the actual product that we're using, but the product Vega will be branded TrackPack Plus for us in our region. So Marigold communications staff we're thrilled that they're taking the lead on doing the communications for the rollout of this new discovery layer. And they have created this new sneak peek video, and there will be more about communications shared with you over the next couple months as we work on the deployment of this new discovery layer, which you should expect coming in fall 2025. So that's all for me. I'm a little bit over time. Sorry, Jessica. Of course, as always, if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, reach out to us at AskYRL at yrl.eb.ca, and we're happy to help. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I have a couple of Indigenous initiative updates to share. So I am happy to share that YRL libraries have been added to Go Library now, with majority of our libraries opting in to participate, which is great. I want to provide just a brief refresh on how Go Library will work. So Go Library is a resource that was initially created by Northern Lights Library System, and it is to help eliminate some barriers for those living on reserve or on settlement in Alberta towards getting library cards. So the two reserves that we serve and receive funding for in the YRL region are Paul First Nation and Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation. These two reserves have also been added to Go Library. So when a member of either Paul or Alexis is in Go Library and they choose their community, the 4 closest libraries to them will show up. So for Paul First Nation, that would be Duffield, Wabamun, Keep Hills, and Seba Beach libraries. And for Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation, that will be Alberta Beach, Darwell, Onaway, and Rich Valley libraries. So I know that many of your libraries are close to other reserves that fall into other regional library systems. If those other systems aren't part of Go Library, the reserves likely won't be listed. However, members of any reserve or settlement can go to the other option that will be listed under community, and they can put in their address and they'll be able to access a card through Go Library. So the only difference there would be that if other is chosen, then what would appear is the list of all the libraries listed in Go Library instead of the 4 closest ones to their reserve or settlement. And after choosing their home library, a patron will complete a form on the website, and then they will receive a library card that is good for 30 days. So the form they will have completed is linked directly to Polaris. An email will be sent to whatever email each library provided to be used for Go Library with the information about this patron and library card. So the patron has their online card for 30 days, and then they will need to come into the library to get a physical card. This physical card will be a brand new card, although if they have audiobooks or ebooks checked out through Libby, for example, then they will need to have their cards merged into one account. So if your library does charge a membership fee, that will be paid when the patron comes in to get their physical card. And then I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for participating with Go Library. I appreciate all of you taking the time to complete the survey that was sent out for this and for learning more about Go Library. And if any changes need to be made to your library regarding Go Library, please let me know, as well as feel free to reach out at any point if you have any questions or concerns with this. Then next slide. So I have a Voices of the Land update. So Voices of the Land is a digital space that is used to celebrate and share Indigenous stories and perspectives online. So it is an expansion of Voices of a Misquitchie, which was originally developed by Edmonton Public Library. Voices of the Land was developed by libraries across Alberta and Alberta's Public Library Services branch in collaboration with elders, knowledge keepers, and community members. I wanted to share that YRL has a community page on Voices of the Land now, as of a couple days ago. So feel free to begin making accounts and posting stories. If you have any Indigenous programming, you can upload pictures and videos to be shared if that's okay with whoever's facilitating the program. It can also be a space for Indigenous patrons to post and share stories and information. So libraries can share in the wider YRL community, or we can have subgroups created, which will be called cultural protocols within the YRL community for individual libraries. So the posts can be made public or they can be made private to only members within a specific community as well. There is online training if anyone would like to work through that. It's fairly quick to complete and it just consists of a few short videos that I'd say are between 1 to 3 minutes long per video. To find the training, when you're on the main page of Voices of the Land, you can go to the About Us section, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there will be an introduction to Voices of the Land training. There will be more information to come about this as well in the upcoming weeks and months. I am hoping to host a webinar with Megan Schott, who is the Voices of the Land coordinator, sometime soon. But please look at the website and look around at what other stories libraries have created if you're interested. And once again, reach out to me if you do have any questions about this. I am also still learning more about Voices of the Land and how to use it, but it's a great resource and one that we can utilize more at our libraries. So explore the site if you have some time. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's on to me. And so my first update is on Me Libraries. So in recent months, we've had a few reports from patrons that have tried to create Me Library cards outside of track and have run into some issues with that, specifically creating cards for minors. The Me Library website checks and authenticates the patron accounts, and if they are under 18, it will not allow them to create a card through the site. When this happens, the child will need to visit the library that they wish to borrow from with their parent or guardian. And then that library will then create a patron account for the child using their existing track barcode. So that's the procedure. The issue that has come up is that libraries outside of track are not always familiar with this procedure and are sometimes sending these families away or back to track libraries. So unfortunately, at track, we're not able to create these cards. So for example, Edmonton Public Library cards, Calgary Public Library cards, we don't have access to their databases. So the work needs to be done at the library that the patron is visiting. So if your patrons are asking you how to get me library cards for their child, they need to visit the participating library. And you can let them know that staff at that library may not be familiar with the procedure. They may want to ask to speak with a manager there. You can also call ahead or advise them to call ahead to a branch that they want to visit just to make sure that the staff are aware of the policy there. So I'm just bringing this up with our libraries so that you know the procedure. If your patrons ask you about it, there is a link on the slide and in the chat. So it's melibraries.ca/help.php. That page has all of the frequently asked questions and help information that you'll need for your patrons. And then the help page is also located down in the footer of the Me Libraries homepage. So I've circled it there in red on the slide. So you can take a look there if you ever have any questions about procedures for Me Library. Okay, next slide. LX Starter. So you've probably heard the name LX Starter in recent months, and I want to bring it to your attention again. So LX Starter is a product from Innovative. This is the people who make Polaris and Leap, or ILS, and it allows you to design custom email notifications for your library. So this product is slowly being rolled out across all of Track in 2025. We are currently testing it at YRL HQ, but in March, we are going to start working with a few trial libraries in the region that we've already reached out to. After those trials, you can expect to see LX Starter coming to your library later in the spring. So LX Starter does require a bit of upfront staff time and a bit of training if you want to develop custom notifications. If you are comfortable with that and have staff time to do that, and you want to have control over these notifications, we can set up a time with your library to provide access and training and get you those accounts. If you don't want to be responsible for the design of your notifications, that's fine too. We're going to be setting up generic templates for all of the libraries that don't want to manage the product. But rest assured, it will be clean, professional, and much more impressive than the current notifications that we have. So in the next few months, I will be reaching out to all of our libraries to help you get this product implemented. So you will be hearing from me soon. Okay, and then my last update today is for room booking. So our website developer Mugo has released a new room booking module for our websites. This module is available now, but a formal announcement is going to be going out next week with a bit more information. Room booking will allow your patrons to reserve rooms directly from your website. It's very customizable. You can set up as many rooms as you'd like. You can set up custom policies for when your rooms can be booked and for how long. All of that's customizable. If you think that you would like to set up the room booking system, or if you just want to see how it works, you can reach out to us at askyRL at yrl.ab.ca. Similar to Mugo, room booking does require that you or your staff are comfortable using the Mugo web platform, as you'll need to handle the bookings on the back end as they're coming into your site. But if you think that this would be a useful tool for your library, then now is a great time to get started managing your website on Mugo. As Jessica mentioned, we're currently developing an updated video course on Niche Academy, and we are also always available to book one-on-one training with your library if you want to get started with this. So keep an eye out for the official room booking announcement coming next week, and please reach out to Ask YRL if you want to get started with this or want to jump into websites. So I believe that brings us to the end of our presentation today. So that's all the new information from YRL. So thank you all for joining us. And we have a bit of time now if you have any questions about any of the things that we talked about today. Okay, it's not seeing too much coming in the chat. Okay, well, it doesn't look like anything's coming in, so I guess we can call it there. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we'll see you at the next What's New YRL.
Bye, everyone.